Good morning, everyone. Happy Election Day. I think we're ready. Is everyone good? All right, we're ready. Well, wonderful to see you all here on this warm fall day. It feels like we've been waiting for this day for a long time, but here we are. And, truthfully, we know none of us know who's going to win the election. We know candidates don't get to declare ahead of time who's going to win. But we do know that the will of the people will determine the outcome today. And it's going to be really exciting to see voters all across the state of Michigan show up, cast their ballots just like they're doing here in Detroit, and vote in this historic election for which the eyes of the nation are on us. We know that election workers are going to be working throughout the day to make sure our elections go smooth. And in many places throughout the state, they're working in absentee counting boards to count those mail-in ballots that are coming in as well. And then we'll work after the election to ensure, once those unofficial results are ready, that everything will go through the canvassing and certification process as smoothly as it always has gone. We also know that Michiganders are already voting in record numbers. It's a great thing for voters and for democracy. We've seen 3.3 million citizens vote before 7 a.m. today even hit. And that was a great thing. It really emphasized how excited people were and are to have their voices heard in this election and meet this moment. So when we saw 1.2 million citizens vote early and another 2.1 citizens vote absentee or through the mail before the election, and so many of those who did vote through the mail returning their ballots ahead of time, 82% as of this morning already returned, with only 230,000 left to go to be returned today. That shows that people are voting, people are engaged, and people know the rules, which is that today is the last day to vote in this election. And whether people choose to vote in person here at precincts or returning their ballot at a local drop box, it's going to be a celebratory day, a hopeful day, and a day where we can be proud that so many people are participating in our election. Already 45.8% of registered active voters in our state have voted in this election, and we're on track to break turnout records yet again. I'm here today at my own polling place in the city of Detroit, but I've already visited a lot of polling places throughout the state and during the early voting period. Everywhere I go, I've seen Michiganders who are engaged, who are energized. This type of celebration you're seeing here today, which I've never seen before at a precinct here in Detroit, and I've been voting here for over 10 years, is really what we're seeing around the state. People are energized. People are ready to make their voice heard, and I believe the voters of Michigan know the eyes of the nation and the world are on them, and they're stepping up to meet this moment. The other thing I want to say is that none of this would be possible without the steady, exceptional leadership of our county and local clerks, the dedicated citizens who work in bipartisan ways. They're Democrats, Republicans, independents. They serve as election workers in every election. I talked to some inside who've been showing up for years, some of whom keeping track of all their elections, working for 8 years or more to make sure that only valid votes and all valid votes count. They will do their jobs today, and we're asking everyone to allow them to do their jobs today, respect the process, and respect the people and protect the people who make democracy work for everyone. As I mentioned, statewide, we still have 234,000 ballots that were sent out that have yet to be returned. If you are one of those voters with a ballot that is yet to be returned, you can fill it out and turn it in at a local drop box by 8 o'clock tonight, or by returning it to your local clerk. It has to be received by 8 o'clock tonight. As of 8:30 a.m. this morning, we've already seen 829 people show up and register today and vote, and all signs show so far a smooth election, an energized election, and one that, again, we hope will break turnout numbers in the state. Finally, we're all anxious to get the results after the polls close. I know my 8-year-old son, before he went to bed last night, the last thing he turned to me and said, not Mom, I love you, but Mom, when are we going to know who won the election? So that just shows how even our young people who have yet to vote are still waiting with bated breath to find out who will win this election and the outcome of many election contests. So unofficial results will begin to be reported shortly after 9 p.m. Eastern tonight. That's because 3 counties in Michigan are in Central Time, and so they will close at 8 o'clock Central. All other locations will close at 8 p.m. Eastern. At 9 p.m. Eastern is when you can join me at Ford Field, where we'll talk about the events of the day, answer more questions, and talk about the path ahead. When the polls close at 8 p.m., we will start to see printouts of results from tabulators. Those printouts and those early results will include those votes cast today, those votes cast at early voting centers, and in some cases, like in Oakland County and Detroit, ballots that were returned through the mail throughout the pre-processing period leading up to today. What we will still have to count today and after 8 p.m. will be among those thousands of ballots that are returned today. We'll know the exact numbers again later today, but that's what folks will be doing after 8 p.m. We have also published 3 videos that talk about what happens after the polls close. We encourage you to see those videos, play those videos, which walk through in a very granular way everything that our poll workers and election workers will be doing after the polls close. Finally, I'm really encouraged by the progress that a lot of jurisdictions have made leading up to today, including the work they've done to pre-process and feed the mail-in ballots that were received today or before today through our tabulators. And again, that includes the city of Detroit, which reported last night that they've been able to process 95% of the ballots that citizens have returned through the mail or at local drop boxes. That's an extraordinary number. It puts them on track, as they've said, to be done with all tabulations of ballots by midnight tonight. We'll keep tabs on things throughout the day, but given that that's our largest jurisdiction, that bodes very well for us to have those results in an efficient, secure, and accurate way as soon as possible. But I'll remind you, it will still take time for election workers to complete the necessary security checks for those ballots that are dropped off in those final hours of the day that count just as any other will, and ensure that every vote is accurately tabulated before reporting any unofficial results. So patience still is the name of the game for this day and as the night unfolds. Because no matter who the voters choose, we will follow the law and we will ensure that the will of the people is protected. The final thing I really want to say for today, as the hours unfold and in the days ahead, that we all need to recognize, and we have evidence of the fact that foreign bad actors will try to distract voters from the sanctity and integrity and security of our elections. Don't fall for it. We know that they will use all sorts of misinformation and other tactics today and in the days ahead to create chaos, confusion, fear, division, and sow seeds of doubt about what is a very clear, transparent, and secure election process. So I encourage all Michiganders to seek out trusted sources for reliable information. You can visit michigan.gov/electionfacts to get answers on a very granular level about a lot of questions you may have about everything we do to secure the process. And I know a lot of us are feeling anxious today about the state of our democracy. I hope that we can all channel that anxiety into supporting and uplifting those working overtime to make sure that every voice is heard in this election. I hope we can work together to rise above the noise and protect those who work to ensure the integrity of our elections is sacrosanct. If we do that, democracy can prevail today and every day. So now I'm happy to take a few questions. Yeah.
You mentioned the foreign actors influencing the election. I wanted to know how many reports of fraud or irregularities that your office has gotten so far today. I know there have been some circulating on Facebook, but if there's any that you'd like to debunk now.
Yeah. We have a field team of over 100 people all across the state. Once we hear something and we're monitoring everything that's posted online, we actually physically go to those locations and see what's going on. We have yet to see anything actually materialize, anything that's been alleged online as an irregularity actually be true. If it is, we'll address it, but we also don't want to amplify misinformation. But we are monitoring a number of accounts and other types of individuals who will be posting things throughout the day. And again, we have people on the ground, and many others are monitoring things too, because we want to quickly de-escalate anything that might erupt, but also more of what we'll be doing today is debunking allegations of irregularities more than anything else. Yeah. Yes, throughout this election period, people have had 3 options to vote, either from home and then returning their ballot through the mail or at a local drop box, or early in person where you feed your ballot yourself through the tabulator, or in person today at your local precinct. People can choose the option that's most convenient to them, and again, 3.3 million Michiganders have chosen to vote prior to today, which I think really reinforces how many do believe in the process. But we want to ensure everyone that every valid vote will count in this election, no matter how it was cast. And if you voted through the mail and have questions about whether your ballot was received, you can call your local clerk, or you could go to michigan.gov/vote to track your ballot and see if it was received, and then reach out to your local clerk if you have any questions. But we want to assure everyone that their ballots will count in this and in every election. And if you haven't heard from your clerk, that means that everything is going smoothly, but always feel free to check in with them if you do have any specific questions about your ballot. Any other questions? Yeah. Yeah, we are checking into everyone to assess credibility of what people are claiming is occurring, not just in Michigan, but I've seen things bubbling up in Pennsylvania and other states. So we have people on the ground physically going to locations and working. We'll call, if we hear of anything, we'll call the local clerk immediately so that they can get there as well. We've yet to see anything transpire in a way that's blocking people from voting. And if we do hear otherwise, we can confirm that throughout the day. Yeah. Yeah.
Regarding the recount process and those rules, and ATSA's response. Do you think that's going to, hinder a potential recount process, given Michigan may be a close state and might find itself in a recount?
I'm optimistic that we're going to work with the Attorney General's office to ensure the rules are followed. The reason we are in that situation is because the legislature failed to act. We asked them after they chose to enact recount laws earlier this year for additional adjustments and rules because it is an administrative process. They failed to act, and so we had to go to the Attorney General for clarification. But unfortunately, that, as she said, didn't give her enough time to do just the right thing she would do in making that analysis. But that said, we'll be working with her office to ensure if and when a recount occurs, we'll be able to follow the law and ensure that any technology is up to date with the new regulations. And we are hopeful that those processes will go smoothly as well. And we'll certainly go into that further if and when anything around that issue transpires after the election. We'll see what happens. We'll work with the Attorney General to see what exactly we can and can't do if this hypothetical situation arises. All right. I'm sure I'll see you all throughout the day. Sherry's on hand if you have questions as well. I'm happy to chat with any of you individually now or in the future. And if not, I'll see you all at 9 p.m. Thanks, guys.